Life is a precious gift I love and hold dear, and my art is the best way to express my appreciation for the joy and happiness and wonderful blessings in my life. You use a glass mirror to see your face, and you use works of art to see your soul. George Bernard Shaw. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good evening. Welcome to Expression in Painting by Paul Creamy. Tonight I'm going to do a show on love letters never sent in words unspoken. I want to talk about these before I get going. I watched a commentary last night on Facebook about contemporary art, abstract art. It was this professor from a college talking about how degrading contemporary art is and how meaningless it is. Everybody, I feel, has a point of view. They have a voice. The way they see is what they do. I have been working on this particular series for 20 years. I wanted to develop something that was entirely Paul Creamy's, like I've never seen anything like this. And it started very simply with a couple of scribbles and lines. And they're all prayers. This whole entire series is a thank you to God, and it's a relationship that I've had for 20 years and longer. But I wanted to develop something special, and I felt like it's time that I should share this. So tonight I brought these 40 paintings, drawings, writings, whatever you want to call them. Tonight, this is one of the first ones I did, and it has sort of a script. And it starts like this automatic writing, and it keeps flowing. And I started doing this, and I started putting it in all of my drawings and all of my paintings that were abstract. It has a special meaning to me, and I wanted to find a way to express it. So I started, like I said, doing all of this with watercolors and Caran d'Ache crayons, a water-based crayon, and I started writing all of this fluently. And it had a rhythm and it had a feeling. And I was really intrigued by it. And I spent weeks and weeks and weeks looking at this particular, and I said, what does it say? What does it mean? And I got away from all of that because I didn't want to get so caught up on what I was trying to say as what I was trying to do. See, art has a way of taking you to places and expressing things that are so deep that words don't get there. Visually, it has to be displayed. I always tell people the way you see is the way you paint and draw. And there's nothing wrong with that. We get caught up when we have to do Michelangelo, Da Vinci, all of the great Renaissance. I love all of those people. I love them, I always have. Andrew Wyatt, all of them. I mean, Norman Rockwell was my idol as a kid, delivering the Saturday Evening Post. I couldn't wait to see it. I still think he's the greatest American artist that ever lived. And I always will believe that. So this is what I started doing. I started doing this writing on top of the color. I kept working with it. I'd do one, and I'd take a break, and I'd do other things. Then I'd get out another piece of paper, and I'd do another one. I never signed them, and I never numbered them. To do this show, I numbered them so I'd have some kind of order. So this one here, I did different colors, all of the rhythm, and I still did the writing on the top. In the symbolism, in the wall, in the entrance. It's like a maze. I sometimes think that our minds are like a maze. They have so many compartments and so many areas and so many places that we go. And we see things in so many different ways. So I'm trying to communicate with symbolism in the background with the writing on the top. And I wanted to have this flow and this softness. So that's when I started calling these letters never sent in words unspoken. And they get more intense as it goes on. This particular piece almost looks like a letter. It has all of the feeling of a letter. I've broken it down into little squares in different colors, the purple, the blue, and the light red, and the yellow, and the orange. In this particular painting and writing and letters on never sent, the writing is stronger in other areas. It sort of disappears in this area. I started thinking about all of this in and out thing and how it appears. I mean, someday when I put all of these in frames and I put them in a room and you walk around, I think then you may be able to grasp the whole meaning of what I was trying to say. But I was trying to say to God, what He has done for me, I can never repay. It's a gift. And so I'm trying to give the gift back to you, because God is always speaking through each and every one of us. And what we have to do is speak to each other. So I take this and I keep writing, painting, and moving on to the next one. I keep seeing deeper and more powerful meaning. Maybe this one's a little more wilder, it's a little more scattered, it's a little more broken up. I think that our minds and who we are, we get in stages in our lives when we get all this energy and all of this friction. You have a job, you have 4 kids, you have grandkids, you have a wife. 50 years of all of this stuff. But the last 20 years, I've been expressing all of this. Maybe it's therapy. Maybe it's a way of taking care of that inner person, that person that's always seeking to find out what's there and what's not there. So this one here has a lot more going on. It has all of this movement, all of this area, yet it still has the flow of the writing. It has these beautiful colors. It has these lines going across. And it's fragmented, and it's moving, and it's got this beautiful energy. And I felt like maybe I was going through a stage where I was frustrated. Now, these are done in segments. They're done in periods of whatever bliss or unbliss that I'm in. And I just put them in a drawer and put them away. So you start to see different changes. This one here has the same flow, only tighter, and no lines. And you know, when I do these, I don't put out the other ones. I put them away. So every one that I do is a personal encounter with the paper, with the paints, with the crayons, with everything that I'm using. And I work on it, and I work on it. And I probably worked on this one for about a week. Kept going over it and over it and over it and over it. Could look like a rug. Could look like a Jackson Pollock. I heard this professor making fun of a Jackson Pollock. He had an apron with paint on it, and he blew it up, and he said to his students, "What Jackson Pollock is this?" I mean, it's easy to make fun of another artist. You can make fun of me. That don't bother me. I am expressing an inner emotion of total passion for my God and what I want to say and how I want to say it. And sometimes we don't know how to talk to God. We don't know how to talk to the people we live with or the people we know. We think we do, but we don't. To me, I'm a visual person, and I've been a visual person since I was 7 years old. I express myself this way. And so you can see all of the beautiful colors, and it's fragmented, and it's beautiful. And Jackson Pollock is one of my favorite artists as a youngster in the 60s when he was doing all of his work. I thought it was fascinating. I thought he was an explorer. So this one here has a more rhythmatic feeling. I don't know if it should go sideways or up and down. I might have done it sideways from the look of the writing. And so what I did now is I went out and I got this fabric paint, because I was using it in other abstracts. And I decided that I would put it on top of the watercolor and the Caran d'Ache crayons. layer after layer after layer, day after day, until I finally said, enough. It is done. And walk away from it, put it away, and wait for the next one. But there's a beautiful rhythm in this. There's a beautiful flow. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And I'm developing this sense of total control over this medium. And I'm looking and I'm saying, what are you saying? Where are we going with this? And I put them away, like I'm putting them away now. Maybe a year or 6 months. I don't do another one. And then I do, and I do another one of these. And you see, this is more wilder and it's freer and it's got all of this sublineal reds and greens and all of this wild writing and then this dripping. It almost looks like a fabric. It almost feels like it's yarn or string or thread. And that our lives are like that. We're living on the edge. Our lives are like that. They're written and they're scribbled and they're confused. And I'm trying to get all of that into this. I'm trying to say, what is in our subconscious? How do we bring our subconscious to the conscious awareness and put it on a piece of paper or a canvas? This is what I've been doing, and this is what I'll do. I keep at it. Another 2 or 3 months later or longer, I do another one. This one's a little more intense, a little more colorful. Started using other colors rather than just the white. I use black, and I use blue, and I use yellow, and I use red and green. And the writing is starting to go in and out. There's depth, there's power, there's all of this subconscious meaning. Because everything that we do spiritually is inside. It's the invisible. And how do you bring the invisible to the reality of life? I don't know. But I do know when I'm doing something like this, I feel connected. I feel like there's a coming and going on inside of me and on the paper. So these love letters never sent, in words unspoken, continue, and they're getting stronger. I started putting them in little boxes. This one here come out of nowhere. And I had somebody look at this the other day and absolutely loved it. One of my patrons. He held it up to me and he said, this one here, it's speaking to me, Paul. It has such a power. And I think that all of this energy, all of this inner fire, inner passion, in the purple, in the yellow, in the greens and the reds, it's got this tug-of-war of energy, power. And I'm trying to put it in a box. And I'm saying to myself, do we all put ourselves in a box? And that we're trying to figure out how to get from here to here to here to here. And that we are all connected, that none of us are separate. And so putting words on to all of my work, I've always felt that people should be able to stand in front of it and experience what they experience. I've got this priest friend, my friend Father Mike McNamara, and he's been telling me for years and years and years, write down what you feel and put it beside each piece, and you'll connect the public to what you're trying to say. This is what the show's about tonight. I'm trying to connect you to the inner thoughts of my mind and in my soul and in my spirituality. In all of the art that I've done since I was 7 years old. I'm 71 years old, and I'm still deeply in love with everything that I do, and to find a way to express it. To go to the studio every single day, 7 days a week, and work from 7 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. Now this one here, I've broken it into 3 or 4 colors, yellow, orange, and blue. And there's this purple on the edge, and all of the different fragments. And there's harmony, and there's peace, and there's this written word. And some of these come on in a way that I just follow the flow. I'm working on them, and I'm saying to myself, where are we going, Paul? And some of these I work on for days and days. I have to wait for it to dry. And sometimes I can't wait for it to dry. I'll use a hairdryer, like I do when I paint my paintings. And I say to myself, have you pushed it too far? And then I'll say to myself, you haven't pushed it far enough. So this whole tug-of-war, back and forth, continually goes on and on and on. But I'm really pleased with the way it looks and the way it feels. All it needs is a frame, maybe a mat, I don't know. But it needs to be wide, so you fall into it. You go inside of it. But it's uniquely mine. That's what I love about it most. I have been painting, like I say, since I was 7, and I've always been in love with everybody that's painted before me. That's what this professor was saying. He was saying that we, as artists, should paint like the masters and leave a legacy. Well, you know what happens to a legacy? I'm going to tell you what's going on in the world today. Artists are out there with these magnificent cameras, taking these fabulous photos, blowing them up, putting them on the canvas, copying them. The camera has already done it. Where are you in the work? You're just applying it. You're an applier. That's not what I want. I want to be able to bring somebody to a place, show you something that you haven't seen, make you feel something that you haven't felt. So this one has this beautiful blues and purples and pinks and oranges, and the writing is in black, and it's very scriptural and it's very moving. I love the harmony of it. It's saying something to me deep inside of me, and that's between me and God and I. You know, and I want to put myself in the same category. But to me, painting is a prayer, visual prayer. It's a gift and it's a celebration. And everybody can paint. What you have to do is never listen to anybody else. Just do what you do. Because you are an individual with a God-given freedom to be you. Everybody wants you to be somebody else or something else. You've got to find out who you are. And this is what this search is all about. I love this one. I've worked on this one, I bet maybe a month. Every day for a month, I take it out, put it on the table, and I'm working in a flat table. I'm not painting it in an easel. I'm painting it down. And I'm not spilling them, I'm squeezing it out of a tube. But so much is in this, and my French friend, Jacques, held this up and said to me, this one has a life of its own. I said, every one of them does, Jacques. Every one of them speaks to me in a different voice. Like every person you run into in your life. Individuality, not everything copied, not everything made for the whole world to line them up like soup cans or whatever you want to do. I wanted this whole series, when I started it, to be unique, to be Paul Creamy. That someday when they stand in front of these and they're in a room and they say, what did he have to say? And then right beside it, he's saying all of what I'm saying to you. If every artist wrote down every thought, we'd have a lot of words. This one here, I wanted it to be a symbol thing with the letters. So I did this red, blue, and yellow. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and humanity connecting to it. I did all of that underpainting. And then I started putting the writing on top of it. In that the words that we use, the words that we speak of the house we live in, that's a quote from a famous poet. And I've written it down and I have it in my studio. And I look at it a lot because I think that it makes a difference what we say and how we say it. Well, I'm trying to say it visually so that it has this rhythm and it's over everything. And it's playing Love this piece. A friend of mine, who's an agent, Bill, he used to be one of my cameramen, got it in my face and said, do a couple of small ones. You're doing all of these big monsters. So I did these two. And I did them in the same day. So I'll put them up together and we'll talk about them. I think they go like this. And they're going to be framed different, but they're part of the same. I have a number on the back of these, I think. I think it's 13A and B, but I don't know. I get carried away. So I did these two small ones. First I did the watercoloring. And the watercolors are washes. They're in jars. I buy this liquid watercolor, and I love it. And it just brings me to a really incredible place. What I'll do is I'll put down each layer and I'll dry it with my hairdryer. And after I've got all of the watercolors on, then I'll take the fabric paint and go on top. So I'm doing all of this action and all of this movement and all of this writing. And I'm trying to see what it's going to say to me. And it's everything that it does and everything that it is says something. Maybe it's energy. Maybe it's just passion. Maybe it's just love. It's personable. So once in a while, like I said, I go back and I go around. I did the watercolor, and I didn't use any fabric paint on this particular one. And the colors are vibrant. I mean, they look like something out of the, I don't know, maybe from the Caribbean. I went to the Caribbean a couple of times, the Virgin Isles and Puerto Rico, and I felt all of these colors and these energy, and I loved it. And I said, someday I'm going to express it. When I did this particular piece, I felt that. And I go there in my mind and in my soul, and I say, how would you paint that feeling? And how would you write it? So I did all of this, all the colors, and then I did the writing on top in areas, in places. So that I've gotten out of the box, but the box is still here. And all of this stuff on the edges is all of the energy that we express when we're in a place of vacationing and trying to feel comfortable and trying to feel free. I went to Puerto Rico in Virgin Isles around that time I did that. This is another one, but it has a different feeling. It has this little blue box, and then it has all of this freedom in it, in all of the writing in the blue box and all of the writing on top. I say writing, it could be just symbolism, it could be automatic, whatever it is, it is. And yet I look at this and I see the pink and I see all of the colors and the orange and the blue. And I love the way it feels. It feels warm to me. And yet it has this blue, this quiet, strong, powerful blue. It says to me that I am still confined and I'm still holding in and I'm not going to let go. That's what it says to me personally. But all of the rest is what it comes out of, that kind of inner strength. We're going along here. I don't know how much time we're going to use up tonight doing this, but I'm not worried about it. What it is what it is. So this particular one, I think it goes this way. I can tell by the way the writing, yeah, it goes like this. First I do all of the watercolors. I get everything set up. And it has the vertical lines, and it has the horizontal lines, and all of the squares. And then start doing the writing. And I didn't use any, oh, I did. I did use some fabric paint in this particular area. But most of the paint, yeah, there's a little up here too. You know, sometimes I get to the point where, do you want to do the whole thing like this? You want to do that? You want to do that? There's a struggle going on, but this particular piece had a lot of that in it. And I think that we get like that some days. Everything that we do is how we feel in that particular moment. And that's the way painting should be, because it's an expression of a moment, how you feel and what you're thinking. So that's what I went through when I was doing this one. Here's another one. Boy. Oh, I think it goes like this. Yes, it does. Now, I know I didn't use any fabric paint on this. The colors and the movement and the writing, I did use different color crayons, Caran d'Ache water-based crayons. They have a way, when you put them on and if you hit them with the water, they disperse or they soften up. And sometimes I'll do them when the watercolors are even wet. But this has a little bit of it all. It has the writing, it has the squares, it has the movement. And that might have come out of that same Puerto Rican series. If I look back and pulled the other one up, you might feel the same passion and the same colors. And like I say, these are letters. These are love letters, never sent, in words unspoken. So when you say words unspoken, it means that their words are so deep they can't come up. You know, you sometimes meet somebody in your life and you really feel that way about them. There's all these things you want to say, and you don't know how to put it into words. That's what this is about. You don't have to put it into words, you put it into a visual letter. The only thing is you don't ever give it to her or him. You know, in 20 years, I haven't sold any of these, and just recently I've started to sell a bunch of them because people are starting to look at them. The Globe did a write-up, the Boston Globe South did a write-up about Paul Creamy and Paul Creamy's show that we're doing right now. And it's on Facebook and it's on YouTube. You can look it up. It's July 27th in the Boston Globe South, Paul Creamy. And I talked about all of the things I'm talking about tonight. These paintings and these expressions, they have a way of carrying on. I could have lined them up and so they all fit together, but I wanted to show you the different stages of some of these things and the way they work. The lines, the inner movements, the freedom, the light, the color, and then the writing. Because it's all a struggle. It's all a struggle, and yet we have to learn to live within ourselves. We have to find a way to express ourselves, and that's what I'm searching here for. I know that I paint all these other paintings, and I love painting expressionist, and I love painting, and I love printmaking. This particular piece came out of a way of trying to figure out how I can do something totally different and still keep it in the same genre or the same mood or the same movement. And a friend of mine walked into the studio, Marie, great artist, fabulous artist, friend of mine, Marie Peters. I think it goes like this because of the writing. And she says, "Oh my God, Paul, you finally got out of that box." I think there's still boxes there, but she was saying I was getting, you'll see some more of these, the cubes in the center or the squares in the center, or whatever they were, weren't free enough. And she thought that this was another way of painting it, another way of expressing it. And it is. It is. You go where you go in that particular moment, and you go with the flow. And you let it out, and you move on to the next one. I like the back of it just as much as the front of it. The colors go right through the paper. So this is another one with that blue square. You tell me I'm not... See, when you're an artist and you're doing, I think it goes this way because the bottom's bigger than the top. When you're in a mindset, it's hard to change even if you don't have the piece in front of you. So this whole series, there's a series of these squares in the center with all of this activity. It almost feels like there's a jungle around it, and there's all of this growth and all of this energy pushing up and moving around. And when I was doing it, I felt all of that. And I said to myself, is this going to work? Well, the writing is here, but it's almost invisible, except in the blues with the fabric paint. And I put the Caran d'Ache underneath the fabric paint, but then I put the fabric paint on top. So I wanted it to have that. I know I'm free, but I'm comfortable in this box. And like a lot of people feel that way. They feel, but I don't want to do anything different. I want to stay here. I'm happy where I am. Things feel good. But the box is getting smaller. In this two here. Now there's this orange one and the small green one, and there's all of this energy and all of this power and all of this stuff. And it's pushing through, and it's trying to open it up, and it's trying to get out of that situation. This might have been a week or 2 weeks later when I did this. I should date them, but I haven't, because I just wanted the whole entire group of them to have a flow, and they do. I think they do. This next one, I tried a little something different. I used a metallic fabric paint, so it's glistening. And there's no little inner box in the center, and there's all this freedom. Maybe you could consider the blue edge around it kind of framing it like a mat, but there's all of this stuff going in and out and around, and it's like mixing and floating, and it's sort of, it's saying something. It's saying that we can be what we want to be, even like fish in the water. You know, that we're all floating. We're all floating through our lives. We're not connected. We're kind of lost. And yet the writing is saying, I am always here. I am here for you. You are important to me. Your destiny is my destiny. All of this. They get out of order sometimes. Like I said, putting these things in. I had people in the other day looking at them. My French friends that own French Memories in Cohasset. I hang my paintings in there. Once a month I change them. And her husband and Anne and Jacques are patrons of mine. And they have a whole series of my religious paintings. And Jacques loved 3 or 4 of these. In fact, I'm going to take these whole things to him after we're done with this show in the next couple of days, because he picked out 2 or 3, and I've got them written on the back, ones he liked. No, it goes like that. The writing on the bottom is larger. Another one. See, I think that this has a summer carnival feeling. It has a joy, a happiness. A letter of love with happiness. That happy song. When I look at this, I think of it. I mean, see, what's missing in our existence sometimes is that unconditional joy. That you read the Bible, I read the Bible a lot. The Bible's got joy throughout the whole Bible. And that's what's sometimes missing in our lives. We think we're happy, but there's no joy in us. So that when I'm painting something like this, I can feel the joy and express it and get it out there. So from that article in the Boston Globe, a woman called me that has something to do with the Loft Hotel in Lexington. And she asked me if I wouldn't consider hanging some of my paintings in that particular hotel. But they couldn't be under glass. They had to be on canvas. And I said, well, I haven't done any of these on canvas. Beautiful. So I decided that I would do some, and I brought some tonight on canvas. So you can see that I've taken some of the further ones that I've done earlier, and I've moved them into this particular stage. Now there's a purple box, and there's an orange box, and then there's a green box, and then there's all of this stuff, and there's another one right here, pink. And then there's another one, yellow. And then the orange on the outside. And all of that is done, and then the lines and the circles and the scribbles in the drawings, all of that's done on top of the squares, and then take the writing and do the writing, and then take the fabric paint and put the fabric paint in the center. There's a lot of work that goes into each and every one of these. I mean, people think you just throw the paint on the canvas. Baloney. 20 years of struggling to figure out what I am trying to say and how I'm trying to say it. You put these in a frame and you put them on a wall and you look at them, and I'm telling you, they have a whole nother feeling. Art is something that each and every one of us has the capacity to do, but not the will. You do a series like this from out of that not going to give up attitude. I'm going to do it, like Tom Brady says. Hey, some days you do it, some days you don't. But you get up the next day and you go do it again. This is what our life is all about. We're constantly being challenged. We're constantly being pushed around by ourselves and by the power of the world. I got a daughter that's so paranoid about everything that's going on in the world. No vaccinations, none of this, none of that. I said, Ellen, just go with the flow. You're a great artist. You do beautiful children's work. Paint. Can't control what you can't control. That's why I do these kind of things. I don't want to be in total control. I want the work to be in control. I want the work to speak. I want the work to have some kind of really touching meaning to a person. I want somebody to sit in front of my work someday and say, what is he saying? What does it mean? How do I get involved in it? I think just looking at it, all of that, because I understood what this particular professor was talking about. The Los Angeles Museum has a 10-ton stone they paid $10 million for. It's just a stone. You look at the David's just a stone. But the David blows you up, just blows your mind. Stand in front of an 18-foot statue in every muscle and every vein. The man was a god. Very few people could take a piece of stone and make it what he made it. They just take a stone and put it on a triangle and say it's a sculpture. Now, that's how that person sees. This is one of the ones my friend Jacques loved, and I love it too. What it says to me and what it means to me, that we all have a set of rules that we try to live by, and yet we're free. We have this purpleness that we are part of the King. And we have this blueness that makes us feel inner peace, serenity. Go to the beach, look at the blue sky. If that doesn't give you peace, doesn't make you feel comfortable, I don't know. The orange is the tension. The orange is our frustration, our flesh, our humanity. And the written word is what we have to communicate between us and God. And all of this is the flowing word that comes to us through the ministers, the ministering angels, and the speaking of that floating constant word that's always coming towards us and going away from us. That we're communicating with ourselves and with each other. These bunch of particular love letters are going to be very, very colorful. They're going to be powerful. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be, what is going on? Does it go this way or this way? I think it goes this way. And so that it has this energy, and it's just pushing all of the boxes away in all the compartments. In my Father's house, there's many rooms. This is what I see. I see all of that. In my Father's house, there's many rooms. All right, I went on retreat with a friend, and I went to Maine, and I just went to Maine and stayed. Dropped my friend off, and she went to this conference in Rockport, Maine. Not Rockport. Yeah, Rockport, Maine. And I came back, and I did 12 of these little love letters. And they're done with all of this energy and all of this love. And I kept them all the same size. And I wanted them to be so powerful, and I want them to be matted in a mat like this and framed so that you're pulled into them. Hope you can see that. You're pulled into them because these truly look like letters. These particular 12 are really, really, really letters. And some of them are a little more confusing, a little more static, a little more pushed, and a little more covered, a little more confused. That we have days like this. Boy, do we have days like this. Sometimes we have weeks like this. But we get through it because we expressed it and we put it down and we walked away from it. And so the next day, when we stand in front of our easel or stand in front of the drawing board or the table, and we can do something like this that says, we're floating, and that the word can get fragmented in the center here. It's all broken up, but it's boxed in by solidness and color. And it has this really nice, beautiful quietness. And I went back to doing the box again, but not as tight, not as confined, where I put some of this green and some of this growth and some of the words and going right through the box, that it's no longer separate, that it's no longer just a square. It becomes part of the whole written letter. Every day there's a different thought. Every day there's a different feeling. This one here has another one. It did the same thing with the box, but all of the energy and all of the power and all of the movement. And it's all framed by a green line around the edge. And green is new life. And pink is a celebration of life. And red and green, powerful. In some of them I put more and more of this particular one. I had all kinds of things going on. I think it goes like this. I love it when I don't know what I'm doing. It shows you that we're all like this. This one has a whole bunch of things going on. I think this one feels more oriental than anything on the whole that I've done. A lot of this stuff feels like that there's this energy in them that's not really Italian, it's not Irish. It has that kind of universal feeling. And it's, we're all affected by what we see around us. So that's what this one says to me. We're getting there because we're running out of time, so I'm trying to move along here. I think I might have done this one further along. They got mixed up, like I said. My friend was in moving them around, and I was trying to straighten them out today. But I love this. In fact, my friend bought one of these from me, and hers has orange in the center. And I love the colors. Their colors are just so vibrant. And we write letters like that. Sometimes they're so strong and powerful, and that's what I'm trying to say, that each day, each mood, if you wrote in a journal and I wrote in a diary, you'd see what I was talking about. I kept a journal for like 18 or 20 years. I wrote everything down. This one's kind of like, it's got all of these figures. They're all marching. And when you see these kind of things in my work, they're a symbol of people going on a marching or following somebody or rising up. So that maybe it's like this. Yeah. Each and every one of them. And the colors, there's no box in this particular one. We're all separated. We're all apart, and yet we're all trying to follow each other. This particular one, another one. Ah, I love it. The writing is like in the beginning. I've gone back to the writing again. There's no fabric paint on this. It's just all the colors, all of the movement, all of the lines, and then the letter. So this is kind of a real small, symbolistic letter that just has quietness in it. This one went back to different parts of it. There's the white letters from the car endorsed. There's a little fabric here, a little fabric there, here, and there's none here. So it's different parts of different letters saying different things. We're getting down to the end of the paper ones. I've got like a couple left. And then we got 4 canvases, and I'll talk about them a little longer. So you see that there's different statements, different movements. I think it goes like this, with all the heaviness on the bottom. You know, I have that square, and it's almost disappeared. all of this movement. And some people say they look like vines, and other people say they look like snakes. And I have all that. And I don't listen to all of this. I just do what I do, and I keep on saying, people, whatever you see, whatever you feel is where you are, who you are. The way you see is the way you should paint. And that's what I do. I paint the way I see. This is one of my favorite pieces. I saved it for last, because if ever there's a letter never sent, in words unspoken, this is probably, I think, one of those that I will probably never sell this, because it has a lot of deep spiritual meaning. Because there's so much that we put in our lives. I've probably read 700 books on prayer and read 13 different Bibles. And you know what I learned? Just talk to God. Because there's no answers. I haven't found any answers. I find no answers in none of this. All I know is that it has a rhythm, and it has a movement, and it has a passion, and I love it. So a lady calls me up and she says, Paul, I want you to do some work for this particular hotel. So I did 4 of these on canvas, and they're 20 by 30. And this one started off with confusion, with all of the stuff that we go through in our lives, and all of the power, and all of the pressure, and all of the passion, and all of the unpassion. And it's so squashed in. And I said, wow, I think that maybe these will be too strong. But I did it. And so the next one, I sort of tried not to be so confined and so pressing and sort of a little freer. So you see the writing, and you see the different colors. And it's really starting to speak to me. I can see all of this. And you know, I changed the background on some of these. I didn't make the background as tight, and it didn't, well, this particular one still, it's getting looser. This one had a ton of tightness, and this is starting to loosen up. That's what I'm trying to say. That we get so uptight that we really need help. And how we get help is expressing how we feel. That's how we get help. We let out all of the frustration. We take a deep breath. We go to the beach. We play an instrument. We paint. So the next one I said I'm going to get less and less stressful. So I do the background a little brighter. The colors are softer. The background is not as confusing. You really see the writing. It's jumping off. So what you put 1, 2, 3, 4, you line them up and they go across the wall. And they have a story to tell you that everything that we do and everything that we are, we can let go of and express ourselves and get free from all of the struggle. Because we're so tied down, I need, and I want, and I have to have. We have it all. We have it all. As an artist, I'm so grateful every time I can go to my studio. I walk in, the first thing I say is, thank God I'm here. And when I walk out, thank God I'm done. You know, every day. Because you know something, when you have an attitude of gratitude, everything that you do has some deep, powerful meaning. If it's a fall scene, I just painted 2 or 3 fall scenes. I've done 17 paintings in the month of September, and out of the 17 paintings, 15 are black and white. I went back to doing black and white because I wanted to fall in love with values again. If you do black and white, the colors will sing. You'll become a tremendous colorist. You have to put the time in. You don't become anything without working. I'll tell you something, the hardest thing in the world you can do is be an artist, because you get no respect from anybody and you get no love. You have to go off the respect and the love from yourself. Find a place in yourself where you become hard as woodpecker lips, and you don't let anybody push you around. Don't get advice from other people. Don't get criticism from other people. And don't get turned away by other people. decide you're going to do something and keep doing it. I guarantee you, after the first 1,000 paintings, you'll find yourself in a place. This is what this is, 20 years of doing this. So the final one and the last one, and I don't know where I am in the time, but maybe I'll talk a little longer on this one. This one is the end. This is the last piece. So that we've got our house in order. Every square, every color, every angle, everything that it's supposed to be for this particular time and space is put in its place. You can read the writing. You can see the writing in the background. There's this in and out flow. There's blue and there's orange and there's green and there's red. There's this inner tension, there's power. If there's a big, huge green spot here, there's usually a red spot there. There's orange and blue. Always, always. Picasso said, good. Picasso said that when I paint green, I paint red. When I paint orange, I paint blue. I listened to that in one of his talks, and I said, my God, how simple can that be? And people say, well, how do you become this great colorist? Well, what is it that you do that you have all of this understanding about the color? I tell people you just look at the things you see around you. Everything that's out there is for a reason. Go through your house. The things you love in your house are the things you should paint first. I mean, you come to my studio, and there's these 2 windows right where I paint, and there's about 100 different objects. And my friend at the French bakery came last week, like I said, and she picked 12 paintings, all of these still lifes that I painted. And she put them up on I put them up on her wall in her bakery in Cohasset, Mass. And people go and call me all the time, and they say, oh, I saw your paintings at this French bakery, and I want to buy one. And I said, Dad, they're all for sale. But what I was trying to say when I did this series with the vases and the color in the paintings has a whole voice of its own. And so that this particular painting here has a voice of its own. It's taken me 20 years to get to this spot, get to this place, get right here and make it what it is. I had to go through all of that ocean of emotion and all of the years. And you know something, every day that I go into the studio, I haven't done another love letter since I've finished this one. I'm going to do more, I know I am. Because I know that these particular paintings, once I frame them, once I put them up, they're going to go. Somebody's going to fall in love with them. People call me up and say, I saw such and such. I like this. The show is another way of reaching out, because everything that I do is for sale. I have 20,000 pieces of art in my studio. I'm 71, and I have 4 kids and 6 grandchildren. I don't want to leave all of that to them. In fact, I talked to one of my grandchildren's sons, is at Savarian School in Westwood. And I talked to the headmaster today, and I said, I want to donate some of my religious paintings to your school. And I'm going to start finding places. I've been giving my work to different organizations and different groups for years. Channel 2 Collection has been auctioning off my work forever. My church, every year, I give them 3 or 4 prints. I give real paintings to the Cancer Society, and my mother died of diabetes. My father died of cancer. My older brother died of Alzheimer's, and my youngest brother died of AIDS. Every one of those groups I've given artwork to. I find that you give more art away than you sell. It isn't about money. Money is a gift. It comes and goes. You know, you spend it faster than you make it. I admire these people that are giving the money to help other people. I admire people who have tons of money, like Buffett. He's given away a fortune in his life, and he's earned it back, and he's given it away again. You can't hold on to that. You can't hold on to this. I mean, this is what this is all about, this show. The show is about me standing here telling you that you can paint, that you can become Paul Creamy or whoever you are. And if all you have to do is come, go to your studio or go to a room, buy a canvas, put paint on it, and look at it. Look at vases, look at pots, pans, sneakers, shoes, flowers. I mean, a friend of mine once said to me, what are you wasting your time painting flowers? Hey, I think flowers are a kiss from God. I've been painting flowers for 30 years. Never been bored once. I think they're gorgeous. I don't care what other people say. That's what they think. You know, you can paint what you can paint, and you can do what you can do. But don't ever stop doing it because somebody else doesn't like what you do. Like that professor about abstract art. Well, some of us can't do art. That's how we see. That's how we feel. And we're abstract people. And we're not all put in that box. Maybe that's what this is all about. That our whole lives they're trying to put us in a box. In that we're free. We're free to do the things we're supposed to do, and the things we should do, and the things we want to do. I say that constantly on Facebook, that the greatest gift you have is freedom. Freedom is a gift that you cannot give up and give it away. It's something that you have inside of you. Unless you have nothing inside of you, then you should figure a way to paint. Then you'll have something inside of you. Painting and drawing and sculpture and photography, writing, they're all a blessing. They're all from your soul and from the depths of who you are. So get that attitude of I am a great artist. I say that for 5 minutes before I go to sleep every night. I am a great artist. I listen to a TV speaker on Channel 2 say that when you start speaking I am, what you speak is what you become. Have an attitude of I want to become because I have felt this way or thought this way. We are all here for a reason, to touch each other, to become part of each other in some small way. So that's what I'm saying to you tonight at this show, Expression and Painting. Love letters never sent in words unspoken are a blessing. From Paul Creamy to you. God bless and good night.